na tusaithe déaghlán tónid I bhí cúpíag sin bhirt nár hosnig an chuthe le cheannis a déaghlán tónid tháinig sé bháil cin lach chuthe dúibh go díosa agus seo héad chuireann na mí a teachtamach ar bháil chuireann na mí a bhuaig an chuthe le cheannis in ag copaí agus níos túisce in ag glíise loch garman fé ró agus an éirbhí agus chuireann iad sa athá dul i drisise fé mar athá gach chuthe I dul i raig agus sin iad an son chuireann láidir go maith na cúlathe seán ó brádaigh agus seosa Mactaigh bhí sé siúd a gimmart i meas na dosathe éisteach Camelín ach nuair a gortaí duine os na cúlathe chuideach siar sa líne lechú le agus an son a thosnó sé inniu. Sin iad an son agus iad a sí síos ar a sí cháin geall leis amu a lád páirce an bhríon na taineh an sa idirhuiidir an bhaí séide ó thaobh na láimhe diise go thaobh na láimhe clé agus Cadar ó Súleibhán an son an captaín meachtar ruthar réhannar an son agus seo héad chuireann na mí a cúlathe an láidir ar fada go mórmhór Seán ó Brádaigh agus seosa Mactaigh agus Mactaigh dal an scéal tar gur féidir is immert sa tusaithe chomh mac céanna a láth páirce an son Díoch Dó Fia agus Neville O'Dean agus Haréin is tóchas na tusaithe iad a bra Cadar ó Súleibhán tar go bhfuil sé chúl agus chéidir cínaithe go chúlíní aimsithe I gceibh díosa agus trefar ó blaiste an súdaisteach sa fúine eiste golóir chuireach siar é siúd a meas na cos an tóidí sa chuthe le ceannis mar ar immer sé out ach snéad Cadar ó Súleibhán an son captaín na fórne an tar go bhfuil an méid sin scóranna aimsithe dóibh go díosa agus go sé I ddírig adú leis na scórna agus le maisin sa tá Martí Morrissey chun I bheitthe thuairtíh idir luthasa idir an bhí agus ordbachach Martí.
Well, Margaret, Michal, certainly this game promises...
Ícetóig go fólín, ná an Ardán I ógáin ach sinné, Ardán I ógáin is dóch agus de bhaid níos mónson, ná mar háthall ar a bheile an bhaid go fólín, agus muinte tíos chunil go láidir leistíir de chóld na canálach, agus na bhleiclíag dar nó na pasédíag. Úlbáide Ardbachan son, le go bhide. Darren de Fuite Modéis.
And just a note of interest there, Michal, the graphic that you see, the design is done by Oliver and Judy Ennis from our sports graphics department, and in all rather than RTE, and Oliver and Judy doing a fine job putting together a little spectacle for Croke Park on All-Ireland final day.
Agus sinné, Uachtarán chum an lúb les gael, Cadar ó Féin agus a bhean, agus an dochtúir Diarmuid ó Chulbháin, Éirlop chum an lúb les gael. Agus is lí a dhéanamh suas ar na céimeanna an socha, chain sí chánach lacha, don dáchlathe. An moltóid agus na muid, moch a lá a páitce go fólín. Agus bhainna ceúil. Ís cúnan sa. Agus inis, an príseach, Elve Macrainil, ar tí teachtamach ar a báir, agus Liam ó Mael Vihíl, an páirstúr a hóid, agus a bhean máide, sí hánach na siúd. Agus Ívan Háide, ar net láinach, nádar limh me siad a gáidí, séis na gluhí, ar nó Nuis na mí agus sín siad, leach lia. Agus sehe inis, príseach, Elve Macrainil, agus áhúnlach an amach, Uachtarán ar áirstúr a hóid chum an lúb nes gael, Liam ó Mael Vihíl, ach sehe benú an príseach. Lee a dhéanamh suas na céimeanna ag an dhéiseach. Agus máid agus démo muil bhír i de hála. Agus cúnta na mí a bhuaig na cranibh ag bheisiad a gimmart a maig na bhíthe sa chéad le. Níon cinine ag an captaín Cadar O'Sullivan. Ach sné Cadar O'Cain agus Elbe McRainal. Agus dochtúid ó Clúbháin. Agus Padraig ó Fainín, dyn agus na hir Uachtaráin. Agus Padraig ó Bugligginson. Agus na chúid ó Morachú. Agus an multóid am a lá páirce agus an tíar híiseach cahal ó hochaí an son. Agus píanamh stochaid ag gluthe sínsir, níos mó nach gluthe minúid. Ach an multóid, Seamus Cryer, geachan tíad uideadóid. An bhanna ceúil, séis an páirce ágant. Agus an ein bhuiidir chus for púls ce gluthe canis na minúid. Idir cúnta na mí agus ardhacha, an chat an áde, agus an imirtar siúil agus sehiad ardhacha, Shelley, agus kick Sayer, gnóthaithe anna hapig pad an son, ag mí hall ó handrachtig. Kick Sayer, Palístiant ag mí hall ó handrachtig, agus kick Sayer, a cúnta na mí. Tá bestig den díine 16 méadar. Cúnta na mí ag immert maig na bhíthe, na céad le. Wittesteach ag Polo Shanka, ag John the Cardnog, Cadar O'Sullivan, agus Chaimín de Hall a Shelley, agus kick Palís, dianta ag Chaimín de Hall, Marsin, kick Sayer, a cúnta na mí, agus Trevor ó Glashne, Stolim, Hogan Council. Agus Giat Cholín an son, ag cúnta na mí, Trevor ó Glashne, ó kick Sayer.
That's exactly what Meath wanted, a quick score just to settle their nerves, and it's fairly obvious even at this stage that Armagh just very, very tense. It's their first All-Ireland playing in Croke Park. It's a big occasion.
An céad gluthe canis ó Nadia, that mé chuig a seach. Shahiad, ardhacha, agus an Baltasar, ag Sayer, nóthaithe ag Micheál ó handrachtig. Agus Bara ó Hogáin a Hogan Council. Bara ó Hogáin, Wittesteach, ge Pívín ó Hogáin a Chol Cehar, Steach a Jo imol na Carnoige. So ná mai cín a Póra Bestig. Wittamach agus Rishis na Fúrmach Liam. A Fúis Eridalov agus Brú. Welche Roada heb na live edition. Harish and Nina Shakarán, Yerach, na Fúis Vic Liamanson.
You can never be too sure, of course, at minor ranks whether players will go forward to the senior grade, but Conor Wilson has shown great potential as an attacking halfback. I'm sure you're going to see a lot more of him during this All-Ireland final.
Sgolfi híl sy'n lorgon, hen Cheshire, agus Gaffa Gydath yn son, ag Diarmid Macavurstin, wedi gos bythos y hysgar a hoco, although hanrachtig, y tacta gawdid. Rhyhistig na Pwne, dead lan o Tónig, ond eisiau siwyd ar y bort, mae'r o'n o ddi yn gachglwhe a gymryd o'r bacha ymlaen. Agus mae'r o'n o ddi hon eisiau stach na chlwhe lechianus homa. Ach hepyd yn Counson, Counson, agus marsin cicimach, na hwyl boede na mi. Ag sneb rondon, omr o chw. Ein sgol na mrohor, yn o trim, agus dimmer sesiw, soccer, fe siedio. Is cool, Amerik, agus beisi óga óhinn das na minúid a ríist ag déint a fúid. Mach go lád Parkinson, mach na Gydath ag Diarmid ó Fia, ní Bara ó Siredáin. Mach isteach, ag óid mach a bhíl agus Trevor ó Glashne, seo he mach a bhíl. Agus na Victor ó Glashne díirech sa nám Meath, agus marsin bhíisiú o'r bacha. Sin diet ag a hálinn yn son, ag hól mach an olpig. Bara hen is deze post, ag Seamus McGowan a stig sa Pwne. Ag Jamach gyda i lor Portge. Bachta Gydath ag Kieran o Hartawn. Dach gyda Cadar O'Sullivan, sio hen captain. Rys hefe sgôl. Ach, dydych It is Meath.
Yes, Micheál, Meath have settled very well in the opening few minutes, and Peter O'Sullivan, very much the danger man for the Meath team, just sending that to the right and wide. But good play by Meath so far.
Agus step no, Emilio Frine, Pedro Sullivan. Restal Cheshul, the Closh, the Reen Vic for a mine. Agus the Abdihai Sean, a gamer, the Minu, the Nochtau Cook, the Sochtau Shea. Agus Dimmer Shaheen, Mike Nahastrali, a Shakti, and the Nick the Pugamai, the Shaheen, Ordwacha. Agus Gerach, Emlyn de Brathon, Laharahe. Agus Kick Sayer and Son, no he get Paul Macanoltic. Agus La Hoopla issue that is Justin, has the fit on it. At Lord Portke, Barra O'Hogoin. Stachajo, Emil Carnoige. Full body, London number of who, went to make a shoot with the Barra O'Shiradoin. The Barra. Went to make the Sheamus Macaon. Got ear of Dobacaon. Agus Thora Hig and Miholo Handrachtig. Oh, it shouldn't get a hole in the Giggy, Datuno Maki, the Stachajo, Emil Carnoige. Agus, well, on Mihot Jarrett, we are Sunday Ordwacher.
Well, that is a terrible miss for Armagh, because Des Mackin, one possession, great vision, and the marking by Meath here was appalling. Now this should have been a goal. Decided to fist it and send it agonisingly to the right and wide.
Well, Nivek, Dave Law not only, Rohos the Lishin, Agus Hugnomati Gwilly, Imra Mihe, Agus Nivek, Ordwacher, Rohos the Lisha Headed, Anagish, Borala, Kuramu, and Sanako. Anak Wall, Sanair, and Son, and get Barra O'Hogoin. Agus Rodegant, Roche, Lishamulto, Edition. A British Staff Arenos, Kick Sayer, the Ordwacher, Barra O'Hogoin, Lannan Isle. Agus the Tustahe, Sticks the Carnoig, and Adog Shete, and Gashamus Prior, Agus Kickemach, the Huntenemy. Captain, Green, Sun Haha, get round on number of who, the other kind of green deed of Staff Navarro, get left up. Shahe, a hard lean, I get round on a gimmer, Menus Nami, Anna Yerach, Makajo Lorna Ponche, which in the Horan, I get Paul Macroine and Captain, Katana Wallop, Yasuna Maki, Magus, Barra O'Hay and Son of a Sheamus Macau, now you can take it. Kick Line, the Huntenemy, Agus Sheamus Macaon, a hope it can count. Sheamus Macaon, the last play in the Highland Skull, Virginia. Joe Barrow Hogoin, the Pivine, a whole car, Pivine, a Road that had the live edition. Coimert, yes, so Vara, the Pivine, whole car, it, Vestica, and Ed and Lay on Cooley guitar.
Armagh settling a little bit better now, and of course the halfbacks love to attack, but on this occasion Kevin O'Hagan sending it to the wrong side of the post.
Halístian to Mahal Portke, and Yermado Fia, Agus Kick Sayer, no he, I shoot the Huntenemy. Calnishal, is that pretty come in the hall. He went to a suit, like a Shahe Barra O'Hogoin. Anna Kira O'Hara. Eglon O'Tole. Like a Sally Stienta, and Gasolo Maki.
I think it's noticeable actually that Declan Toner, the Armagh corner forward, at the moment is getting the slightly better of the battle with James Smith. And every ball that's gone into the corner forward position, Declan Toner seems to be the man that's capable of getting the breaks.
Shahe Neil McGillow in aim. Agus an Kate Stores, the Armagh.
Only just reward really, Micheál, because Armagh have settled in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and certainly they've had about 3 wides, I think. So they finally had to get a score out of it, all that pressure.
Martin Coidwihe, Igor Bacha, so it's the main omity, Imra Mehe, Mafordne, Ed O'Hara. Cúlín ige chunta na mí agus Cúlín ig Ardmhacha. Kick, ja, pada. Machta go deas an son ige Caimín de Hall for a Varas. Ára go deas ige Phoebe no Hágáin. Chunta na mí getting covered in Unsi a ríist. Anna bháil an son ige Emlyn de Bratún agus kick sér no ige Emlyn Ardmhacha. Emlyn idir ige bwada gyda o Mackin ac Sean o Brodig Robacha yn Balcasa. Bara o Hogain o Holland gyda Neil McGill yn ein ac y siant ag Neil o'r hysdach. O Wyt sara hig gyda ag teglon o tonid a mac gyda Diarmid Mac o Fwrstin agus Halais dienta yn son Halais dienta no kick cool better gestahad beter kick cool better gestahad if I gawn the Ardmhacha. Ach behoid Martig and score really fast the Ardmhacha.
Yeah, it looks like that Armagh have certainly settled another score on here, and Niall McGleenan going through that time, even despite it being the half lockdown. Declan Toner was allowed too much space entirely. The marking by the left corner back at the moment at least leaves a lot to be desired from a Meath point of view.
Neil McGill in ein, beshe Derek Cúlín ele gáil. Roada et heb no lá vidish. Neil McGill in ein en son, Westley na scoil na Padraig Ardmhacha, gus cref beshe Derek Gwyrtige. Agus Shahid, Mintin Ardmhacha, agus Raunoidi, agus na Tirionid, agus Imini o'r edrych yn lot o hwyri. Anna bháil an son ag Diarmid Mac o Fwrstin, Anna Felidóide seo, agus kick sér no heige. Joseph McTighe ag ein Halais. Agus bhfuil enim Joseph a scríb ag Seamus Pryor, iawn roch go bhfuil. Hiad enim achos y lawr ag Seamus Pryor. Joseph ag ein Halais an son ag Diarmid Mac o Fwrstin.
Diarmid Marsden has proved, certainly in the province of Ulster, probably being one of the best underage footballers to come out of the province, never mind out of Armagh. And he's beginning to settle and causing problems for Joe Ty, and Joe Ty being booked by the referee now.
Neil McGill in ein ríist, ní raidig leis o chéanib, a dhéana sé an Balcasa. Agus a ríist, níos a besa an Balcasa.
Niall McGleenan, usually fairly reliable, but at the moment just not getting the accuracy right. It's very disappointing, and this could affect his confidence, and could well mean that Armagh mentors may have to just change their free takers unless Niall gets the next one and gives himself a bit of confidence.
Well, Dimir yn person, gymasa gymortas raha, por se caher do iag, gymortas raha chw iolo, gymortas y fwyg Ardmhacha a chanitse o Creen, hiena yn eich o'r unig gyditha. Nefel o ddyn, wol na caide, Caimín de Hall, the Varas ag siúd, gydas, gyda polo siantig, a dro hir ach no ffôl. Siohe yn cadlog portge, Diarmid o Fia. Machta gydas ag ffôl mach yn oltig. Fôl ydi ag i fôl ag ydi Neil McGill yn ein. A Halais dianta ag Neil yn yn Moltori.
A bit harsh, I must say, Micheál. I thought that the ball was just off the ground slightly. Bit unfortunate for Niall McGleenan.
Agus sé polo siantig, a hoping cancer. Imedin sé siúd. Hel edrych feonach, a gwynt yn y mi, len y fflwb. Of cian y le, ein staff. Staff agus, o'r heg yn ein dros drogit na hwyl mac liam. Mach gyda lor port, agus eisiau diad ag y testig y bara o Hogain. Bara diar ag i fod ag i neswn o'r Mackin, ac y Sean o Brodig, rymis ymach, wynt ag o heg y Diarmid Mac o Fwrstin yn reisht, anna Felidóide. Rhaid y staff, ag gan o loedyn, mach caig, diar ag estop, ag ysfacht ag y nestig, bara o Siredoin. Yn tôn, son le pwynt yn y midiarn, ac ysio heb Caimín de Hall. Caimín a bwol ystaf go Hall gyda Trevor o Glasne, len y cytwyg, a chytaf yn Balcasa.
it's a good response by Meath because Dermot Marsden, who was cutting through, good defending by Meath, they stood their ground, and from the counter-attack, ball coming in from Cayman Hall into Trevor Giles, and he did well, turned but just to the right and wide.
Bara o Sheridan, Ola Jonah Pelle. Went to Gahishal with the Hall. In Davsa, we said Eric Philip or David went to Martha. Heppish Philip, Shahid Arbacha, with the Stafford, Neil McGill in Ain. Zieratwa O'Neill. Berto Harbacha, Dathuna McKean. Tarafuna Dahol, the Hilakana Shigas, Walla Brio Fachtige, You're willing to step the wall in the Multoid, so no, Vader, Agus Martian, Kicksayer, Dogbacher.
Armagh are quite satisfied. That's the beauty of having Dermot Marsden and Des Mackin. They're able not alone to send in the ball low and fast, but they're also able to send it in high. And Mackin on that occasion just getting the better of John Brady.
Agus Dermot Macavustin, Hogan the kick in the Sarah, Congrach and goal, Agus Chuck Counter Congrach Owen, the Yermit. Agus Colleen, Igadir.
Interesting point, Demi Hall, that they did in fact change their free taker because Niall was just not having any luck. So Dermot Marsden takes over the free taking and gets his first point.
Agus Art score Ollie, had a castle at flush to Holomoin, O'Keen Trog, as Beshe Okohohin, that's the Manu to reach them, the Encha Point. Agus, was your father ship Lohi Canish, a Gordon Vic Rory. Agus, and here Colleen, I'm Shihigahin, Art Baching Keen, Agus, Caru de Click, Emerimihe, Ranaway, roll out the father Kauru, Art Bachas together. Anna, Wall, Sonair, and Son. Paul McRoyne and Captain. Nasuno McKean against College Kent against Sean O'Brod again. Shadow Shade against Multoid against Dishele, the Yermit, Lockabush, Dinny Capping.
The problems that Roscommon had with Des Mackin are being reflected here again because Mackin is beginning to dominate now at the edge of the square. And Armagh mentors should be congratulated. They decided to take action very quickly with their free-taking problems.
Yermit Mackabush didn't reach to this.
Well, that's a major blow now to their prospects and indeed to their confidence, and it won't do Armagh any good whatsoever. This should have been put over. 20-metre line, an easy enough free. He sends it incredibly to the right and wide.
Agus gan chluhe hen, Armagh agus the glór dína túr, bhí mar is úlga nach ort chluhe idir na minúte ach carú de flick imihe agus gan na fór na socket to she's a gap. So head here with Macavustin, Paul McRoyne, and Yannick and Captain in either. Agus went to a reached Kitap and get Paul McRoyne. He was just sauce the name of the ship.
It's a total of 6 wides now for Armagh, and certainly if they don't get their shooting boots in order, they're going to be kicking away this All-Ireland minor title. Far more chances for Armagh Hall, really, to be realistic, than Meath.
Hold na gwi hiko agus ele agus ganed ach Pauline point pinky. Reached Paul McRoyne and Captain. Balkasa, Nasuno McKean attack the master. Agus Reached in to get that goal and they didn't want to go in there. Asha, Nishna Kini cast in to get. Hope he got topic. Agus chance of hole again Nasuno McKean. Oh, Tom Oil and Son again Brown down on the hole. It out the father Balkasa and Brown down. Bara O'Hogoin, agus Padagianic Bara, a reached F4.
Well, that's an incredible miss by Armagh. That's 2 goals, really, I would put down to Armagh in this first half, and on both occasions they missed it. Great thinking by the Armagh players to give the quick free, and brilliant goalkeeping by Brendan Murphy. Superb goalkeeping, came out and advanced. That should inspire Meath now. You can look at it from any angle, and really Des Mackin should have buried this. Probably had too many options and too much time, and Brendan Murphy, well, fair play to him, great save.
Kick Tevline, the Ardbacher. Ardbacher is going to o heb na scorene, Pivin O'Hogoin. Agus Deshig Neil McGill in ein. It is all over, because Cotton Cody in the Meath team played. ach seo díobh mac a bhuistin agus í leite ar siúd agus le húr mar líam tití his an ámíthe. Fachta inisige bara ó siúr a dain. Ach iarach súd ar a mú go seo heimí hall ó hanrachtaigh agus talís dianta Elvie Hall.
Sorry, Micheál, I was just going to say there that Niall McLeanan is coming in to take over the free-taking duties again. So obviously Dermot Marsden, who has in fact picked up an ankle injury, but despite that I think they probably decided to give Niall just one more lash at it.
Gydíireach agus snédíireach mar a há, Níl a hófig an counter. Gwydym agus 10 meter no marsin, a machón gŵl. Agus an counter gwyddig y mahig.
McLeanan is back in business. That's his second point for Niall McLeanan. That's 2 points for him and 1 point for Dermot Marsden, 3 overall for Armagh. But it's interesting, Micheál, that despite their brilliant performance against Roscommon, that their points so far have all come from place balls.
Agus mar bhí sé rá, bhíidir a rás is fad sa chéad le ach ní a bheith tarna le cho má chéanach bhí ord bil a fadagin anna chaidán peile sa chéad lechan son a Meath Roscommon. Ach sé héad chuntainna mí agus chuntainna mí I bhí hebh out an scatlaithidar imiríidir sa chréamh agus mi histeachan son go dtí Padar O'Súla bhain ord thosaí a Padar deas mar gin sé lí isteachan son agus cholín deas a Padar.
That's an excellent point by Peter O'Sullivan, and that just shows you the way Meath are playing at the moment, because certainly their first half performance, despite the fact that they're being dominated midfield and half back line, every time they attack they're causing problems. Great work by O'Sullivan here, and not afraid to have a go. An excellent point. Only 1 point between the sides despite Armagh's dominance.
Agus team play Geno Matty Pocket sa chéad le after go hall in reached and son get Paul McRoy neck me have wake because she hit cook in the me agus Kieran O'Halfdown did give wall gidi Macgillawheel agus Barra O'Sheridan after it Padar O'Sullivan London Dollar we get Padar agus Schneid Noidi na me Hier moet maar de worst in de race, dus kan je niet zijn bouten staan. Aan de grond op de goal is daar, en dat is Colleen daar.
That's the first bit of action that would show the potential in this Armagh side. Delight amongst their supporters. But it was a ball that came from out of defence, gave it quickly to Declan Toner, giving it to Dermot Marsden and over the bar.
Machgadi Lord Poitke went to reach then the Gordon to get Paul McRoy. Shahe, Trevor O'Glashny, the cousins, the front enemies, the Cardinal, went to stack the Padar O'Sullivan against the Meath with the Macgillawheel. And that oak sheety, again Multoid. I guess fixed there, the front enemy. Trevor O'Glashny, a Hogan counter.
It was a lovely bit of action actually by Peter O'Sullivan, who laid it off to Garrett Bell. Lovely little flick, one of the great skills in Gaelic football, but the referee maintaining that Peter was being pushed by Eddie Martin at the time.
So head Trevor against the Uncle Shoe, Ronan, it's a pool. Let from enemy, there's the sheet to the shot out pool, the Kohis Raha, and we have a lot of play. Big Trevor over Owen, that's the maneuver reached and danger for it. Davin defeated Midesh. Nope, Long Aiden, Royal Heel and Lodgman. The Tisha have went to the Lord Park again. So here we don't be it. The Trevor O'Glashny. In his Trevor after the other star of it. Polo Shantig and Cotton Toyd agus Hanish Kabilche, a Harish, Moana, and Demo
great defending by Armagh. The break coming out to the right half back, Paul Shanky. And he got inside the defence. Really should have possibly put it over the bar. Unlucky.
agus kick bhil gearra an ceamsan agus an páile or bacha na man Martin i Joe Lárpáitce agus kick séir gnóthe an san ige Diarmid ó fia de chunta na mí. Diarmid destalí de King's Hospital, Scoil King's Hospital im le lí an Scoil cíanna go raibh Declan agus Tommy Carr destalide. Shanpig Joe am the car noige on a wall a fad is taken son again that law point give bara o hogoin agus is in dienta go mahage bara gadi German makabushtin a car wit in about to get finna o control shahe o control agus a dura she face score well rolag a did it darken the feet of Marish agus erach suit sar han son again Macgillaway in is sheriff agus Harris and Line Shataro.
I like the spirit of this Meath team in this All-Ireland final because despite really being outplayed, they're beginning to show that belief in themselves. They're harassing and chasing, and Darian Whitmarsh, the Armagh goalkeeper, being put under pressure. That's the sort of good play by forwards that's often unnoticed by supporters and fans.
Agus anna bháil san éir a ríist an bátas in the Micheál ó Handrachtaigh. Shahe Micheál a ríist. Teachta gaudid, bara ó Hogáin. Bara a bhil in the caide go dtí Éamann ó Caráin. Eaglan ó Tónid a Córach. A mi hehuig an lán Pólín san. Seán ó Brádig. Shahe Seán, bhfuilteach ag a siúd. Aris láhar na páirce agus budeach a gúil a thug sé siúd rig. Agus inis, Gérán ó Hartáin. Adar ó Súleibáin in léime go hálinn in san. Leamn na caide anna yes. Agus anna dhéarach go dtí Trevor O'Glash, agus seansa go Trevor, agus Rahel, Harrison, Líne an son, an kick amach a bhí ann, Jinse Calís, agus kick amach.
Peter O'Sullivan is going to be a player of true class because he's able to win the ball and he's also able to use great intelligence. But Trevor Giles picking the ball off the ground according to the referee, a little bit unlucky. I just thought it might have been slightly off it, but I don't think Meath will have too many complaints about it at the same time.
Marsin Rachólín, Marascoid i Gardbacha, agus sinning recht. Sino matí gwylio, da le hama. Mwntena mi, an unsaí. Hadar ó Súleibáin agus an taid gacha go deas a ríistige. Éamann ó Martin, a dhéar a gistop. Dían fóra cartar in ish agus kick séir gnóthaí hen san ag Ciarán ó Hartáin.
Kieran Harton doing very well to win that free, and it certainly gives Meath an opportunity here now to reduce Armagh's lead to just 1 point.
Shahe Trevor O'Glashne. Colleen bháin Andrew Higgins again. Agus an Parna Colleen again, Trevor.
Good free taken by Trevor Giles, taking the opportunities with style and with ease, in stark contrast to Armagh's free taking in the first half.
Annach bháil a ríistige, bhol nach ráine. In the anna láidid, agus cosan tóidí agus a tusa hen sun agus, well, ní chalíisi bhí anna cháid ceann. Agus nígan bhiltóir den immer still ar over the Neville O'Dean and Felagog in the Yeg. Stafford came in the hall and he wig shoot. Hadar ó Súleibáin a ríist agus anna chóra, Macgadi Pillibody, agus Shahid Pillib. I did a give Wallaby McAwee, a Sara Hishdig again, darken the feet of Marish. Answer a Mac to shoot. The Martin, it's all on the Parkin, Untanami, Robin and Unsi ríist. Shahid, Bara ó Shuradoin. Áirithe i get Éamann ó Martin agus í Cormanis go deirteach Ultig. Yasun O'Mackean agus Talís Dienta Yasun. Talís Dienta again. Lán Foley na Meath, Sean O'Brodick. Neil McGillough in ain, I hope we can count it. Achulín Einchig and Neil Gadisa. Neil McGillough in ain, agus Achulín again Neil.
Great point by Niall McLennan. And the corner forward doing what he should have been doing at the start, now got his confidence back. It's 5 points to 3. And just coming up to the half-time whistle, I think Armagh will be a little bit disappointed that they're only 2 points in front. They're playing with the wind. And if you're a Meath supporter, well, I think you should be reasonably happy going in at the half-time whistle.
Rondá number 2, Machpedi Lord Portke, agus Shahid Vacha Bara O'Hay. Erik Gullistackley have Kenny Roada ige Bara. Agus Martian Kicksayer, the Funken Meath. McGillough Wheel, a Wollaga Topic, agus in Lord Foley, Eamon O'Martin, a Captamach, the Hannah Happy. Shahid, Seamus McCallum. Seamus agus Bertie Derigest up. Sarah Henson again, Michal O'Hanrachtig. Lena Kitoi, getting left and boy. Agus Tishinish, the full McAnultig. Oh, big Erin Multoy. Well, full McAnultig and son.
The Meath players are saying that it was a shoulder-to-shoulder charge. I don't think it was, to be perfectly honest. It was straight into Paul McNulty's chest. And no question whatsoever that it was a free for Armagh.
Martian, Porleish, Ochor, et Fall. Fall, McAnultig. Oh, it has Lean, Vanished in Roher, and in Traw. Ravaun, Ranatherste, Witchigajisige. Agus, the hopeful issue Justin, aha, a master Vidonage. Paul, Agoni, Eridalov, Agus, Porleish, Ochor. Agashinitana, Lele Hammer.
Here's the incident again as Paul McNulty came in. John Grady hitting him straight into the chest. A combination of elbow and shoulder, and no doubt whatsoever that it should have been a free for Armagh.
Neil McGillough in ain, Beshe Derigan, Caro, Pauline, Royal, Eheni. Agason, Dienta, Iganil.
And the scoreboard now reflecting Armagh's dominance, particularly in the midfield half-forward line, and that scoreline doing the Ulster champions a little bit of justice now. Interesting spectator here is, of course, the Donegal manager, Brian McAleer.
Agus Lehama and so a Barca Croke, Agus Ordvacha Hankin, Shekulini, Igordvacha, Shekulini, Igapuntenami.
One of his most seasoned defenders. Martin Shoblin is out of the Donegal team. He had a neck injury sustained in training on Thursday night last. They kept it under wraps, as you can expect, of course. He didn't respond to treatment, failed a fitness test this morning, and so Martin Shoblin is out of the Donegal team. He's going to get changed. He'll be in the dugout. I'm not too sure if he could come on if needed. Now, his replacement is 24-year-old John Joe Doherty, a direct replacement. Now, I'm not quite sure. I've heard a little word that perhaps he will not be in at left half-back. There's a suggestion that Barry McGowan might well come out to left half-back. That would make sense. And John Joe Doherty would go in at right corner-back. That we'll have to see in a little while from now. Dublin unchanged. Paddy Cullen was telling me a little while ago. They're all raring to go, as you'd expect. But bad news for Donegal. That's one player they could ill afford to lose. Martin Shoblin out. Dublin, as I say, unchanged.
Right, Gerard, thank you very much for that news. With me on the panel here we have Colin O'Rourke and Pat Spillane. We'll talk to them in just a moment about what we've seen in the first half of the senior of the minor match, but obviously in reference to that senior game and the news from the Donegal camp. Colin, your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a big blow to Donegal. Martin Shoblin has been one of their best defenders this year and for the last few years, one of their most experienced players, and John Joe Doherty probably come in a cornerback. I would think Barry McGowan, who would normally be a halfback, would move out there, but certainly a big blow to Donegal.
Pat, it's just the kind of bad news that you don't want before a big match. Now, I know they've been aware of his problems since earlier in the week, but it still puts a little bit of a damper on things when you've laid down plans so carefully for so long.
It does indeed, Michael. I mean, they've spent the last 3 or 4 weeks planning to beat Dublin, and certainly Martin Shavlin would have been a key player in those plans. He's a great attacking player. He'll be an immense loss. John Doherty, like I said, will probably come in cornerback. I'm surprised actually they haven't brought in John Cunningham, who was certainly very impressive all along and was very unlucky to be sent off in the match against Derry. Certainly it's a body blow to Donegal.
Well, I'm sure that has been good news to the players of Dublin and their mentors who arrived at Croke Park just a little bit earlier on. A very short journey, of course, for the Dublin players. Well, McCullough will not be playing for Dublin this afternoon, I can tell you, but just quickly slipping in there. John O'Leary, of course, will. Dublin goalkeeper and a man of great experience. The rest of the Dublin players, as I said, just having to assemble a couple of hours before the game. Tommy Carr, the Dublin captain, what an anxious man he will be this afternoon. And Tommy, so determined to repeat the performance of his brother Declan, who lifted the Lee McCarthy last year for Tipperary. And Jerry Horgan, of course, very experienced full-back of the Dublin team going through there as well. Rest of the Dublin team making their way into Croke Park then just a little earlier on. So with Eamon, here he goes through then. Let me go back to Colm O'Rourke with reference to the minor match then, Colm. And well, I suppose it's not a great first half from a Meath point of view, but it's not as bad as it could have been.
No, Meath could have been out of it at this stage because Armagh were much the better team and they had several opportunities of points. And then Brendan Murphy made a very good save for a goal, and Declan Toner also had a bad miss when he could have been in for a goal. So Meath have crept back slightly into it, and they got a couple of scores to bring them back. But those 2 points that Armagh have got just before half-time have probably been a fair reflection on the play. Armagh the better team and Meath with a lot of work to do, but having wind advantage in the second half, I still think Meath could do it.
Pat, as a football spectacle, I'm afraid there wasn't too much to stir the heart there in that half an hour.
It wasn't really, Michael. It was pity. It was a very disappointing first half, especially we know what both teams are capable of playing. They played great football in the semi-finals. One never knows how minors are going to react in an All-Ireland final anyway. And certainly
just while you're speaking, the Donegal team just arriving at Croke Park. Martin Shovlin, of course, will be with them. Brian McInniff there as well. But Martin, a very disappointing day for him as his colleagues go through there and get waiting for their very big day. Declan Bonner, of course, falling forward on the team, making his way through. Donald Reid, much will depend on his shoulders at half-back in this team this afternoon. Sorry, Pat, to interrupt you there. We were saying not perhaps a great first.
Buchtran, Unson, Hadro Queen, Agus Bano, the Hudon Sluanson, on Parnala, of Tipas No, Chicolini, Forest Point, Egard Vacha, a game of the Queen and the His, the Parnala, Agus Adahoyish, Scorolo, and Cool, Promuku, the Kietla, the Shedro Hostelation, of Martian Hain, with an analog idiot, Agus, but in the mean, the Portnagui Hikusu, the Casnicha, Chicolini from Derry. Maltoid, Pat and Ardigan, who's current listen Parnala, Agus, Uncanami, Eric Gull, Edmund C, Tepe Horror, Agus Shahir, Ardbacher, Agus Gasuno Makin, Agus Fix there, no who he get, and a happy get pad, the Ardbacher.
You're playing against the breeze, of course, in the second half. The first free, if you can put it over the bar, is a psychological boost. So for Niall McLeanan, a little bit of a pressure kick and a very important one.
Kirikeen the Hulini, I'm Shehe, again Neil, Bedisa. Skull, Nair Podrick, Ogwacha. Brave Deshadia, Gutige, Agus from Townsend, Croke, Anna Yasser Fadigan.
That's possibly the most important kick of the whole afternoon, because playing against the breeze, Meath obviously coming out on full power, all fired up, and you concede an easy enough free and you concede a point, well then it's Armagh's advantage.
Well, Morabunna Nagas and Kiegla, Nadivisha Taka, Dose, Nahimera, Ahai Trade Kale, Taus Takahe, Ed Frinis, Nagasinish, Tahuki in the Hulini, I'm Shehigan. On the ear on goal body, and Mark Harris Lord the Portke, Sorry Hagadak, and Mihalo Handrachtig, the Paul Macanoltig. agus éireach fóil sáirithe. Bhfuilte go maith leanna ghorann agus seán ó brádaigh amach go dtí Diarmuid ó Fia. Seo hé Diarmuid. Agus kick sair a thugtaigh an multóid de Ardmagh.
He's not very happy at all, and I don't blame him. He's looking for a colleague to be freer a lot quicker.
Gasúna maith cín amach go dtí bara ó Thógáin. Go dtí Colmach Ráine. Cól agus a éireach túd sáirithe. Agus né trefar ó glas, né cosinte, mar a bhí sa chluthe le cheannis na tarna le go dtí Peadar O'Sullivan. Peadar i dtíar a bhfuil isteachad son. Go dtí Mac Gilabhíl. Mac Gilabhíl agus Anna lag a fad ó Geróid Mac Gilabhíl an Baltasson.
You talk about wastage by Armagh in the first half. That was a terrible waste by Garrett Bell. A beautiful ball sent in by Peter O'Sullivan. Garrett Bell finding it difficult to control it. He had Cayman Hall, decided to go it alone, but it wasn't either a shot at a goal or a point. Terrible waste.
Townsend, machta go deas, get Caimín de Hall. Wiltamach go dtí Polo Shantig. Diarmuid ó Fia. Seo hé Diarmuid. Isteach i Joan Poole agus Pauline deas.
This is a man that's very much geared up because if Armagh are going to win, or if Meath are going to win rather, Derry Hunt is certainly beginning to play inspired stuff at midfield because it took a lot of heart. First the ball was blocked down, he was lucky enough that it bounced back and he had another go. And a great point by Derry Hunt.
Agus dar leadóige agus dar gal e choma. Bhí sé le gain colm cille, canan na smór. Sáirithe go deas go Polo Shantig. Amach go dtí Diarmuid ó Fia ríist, na sé tappaigh go hin. Mi amach haris a bhlíine i deireadh Moir, agus kick bhlíine de Ardmagh. An féilte go amach go Diarmuid ó Fia ó gain colm cille an Baltasson.
Interesting that the mentors on the sideline are getting so sophisticated that they're now using walkie-talkies, Micheál.
Annach Weil and son. Kick, Hugmeder agus Dahad, the Ardmagh, Stolim. Si Coolini, idir na fórne, a gcónaí. Bhur sé Coolín ó nanatsa ó dhéanamhín, mac gilo in éin, an bhaid sé ceann eile. Agus na tusaithe istigh sa cearr nóigh agus mar sin séir cic amach go chunta na mí.
Good kick actually by Niall McLean, considering he was kicking in against the breeze, dropping in just under the crossbar.
An parasport céanna ag Ardmagh agus a réco ag Lehama agus cúgneamataí an tarna le imiche. Machta go deas an son ag trefar ó glasne. Peadar O'Sullivan. Róthafrig de Éamann ó Martín. Peadar Shellim na Pelle agus trepathe fé ród an dalam ag Peadar. Mar sin séir kick Ardmagh.
Two hops, Peter O'Sullivan found guilty and charged, and it's a free to Armagh.
So go go tappa go dtí na chúd mac líam. Anna chusan tóidí a cruthúid agus chaléis déantar sésta an fel a bheith builteige. É hénig a hópaig an séir kick. Anna chóngracht an bheith blíine. Sáirithe go deas ag Seamus Macau nach bhí chaléis déanta ag Seamus a dhéann multóid. Agus seo hé bara ó Thógáin, bara a thugtaigh an ceansa, chomh cethar de chuomhín ó Thógáin, gas líonn sé scoil a bhí híl an Lorgan, chábháin de Chwef McLaren bwytig ag y siohen siw blin ag y bara ag y myrtle mynwyd o'r facha. Yn siw blin as y chelig. Anna Irach, ysdech John Chwagas o'r Colleen.
An inspirational score by Barry O'Hagan. Now that should certainly inspire Armagh into a higher gear.
Agus
4-point advantage. It's a sweet kick by Barry O'Hagan because he hit it superbly right from a few metres in from the touchline. And it's a great point.
Paul McAnaistis, takke het in de boord, de punt in de mee. Akshahet, Ardwache, in een onzee. Slare en son, Gudes, ik heb zo'n met tijd, ik wil te maken, er is het even. Ik heb snee, telebodiv, in mijn hit van boord. Ik heb takke het in de boord, kan uitshoot Paul McAnaistis. Bach goed, Lotig is Shemus McGowan en son. Jemen nog Caroin. Machtige Paul McRoyne. En ik heb zo he, Jeremy door 4. Jeremy dit is Dalop. Jemen nog Caroin, Riest. Wollige die barre O'Hagoin. Drop off switch shoot. Agus Martian kick Tevline, dort wachen. Liam O'Hogan counter. Gordon McLaren agus the Cref Scoilin Ola B bwyte I get follow. Bwyte I get verhwydd. Long pulley, Sean O'Brodick. McGilliveel. Lord McGilliveel, die erg I bwyd gyda Padar o Sullivan. Padar, an o lwfr o'r pad agus I Correferis gytapig I get Padar. Agus chantig I Macanaistir. Macanaistir y dylystach. Agus Anna Colleen.
If any man is going to inspire me, it's going to be Peter O'Sullivan because he's been doing it right throughout this campaign, and great vision again by O'Sullivan. Beautiful ball into Paul Nestor, who got himself into a very fine position. Just slipped at the wrong time, lost the initiative. Really should have been a goal, but he took his point well.
Wachte gedestige, come in the hall. Nichi Bulter over Heget. Sarah Henson again, Pivino Hogoin. Anna Wallenson again, Kenna O'Cantual. Padar O'Sullivan, a Korakan son reached. The Yemano Martin. Anna Korakatra, Gahav Mahimra at Fad. McGilliveel agus I Mihibwig agus Saho Tá an son le Ardwacha. Siúr timppel ar Vaca Vurstin, Trevor ó glasna duine agus Sehe Trevor. Ardwacha Cosint go má láhad na huidir. Sehe Vaca Vurstin agus Anna Iarach Wichú Dasún ó Macín, ní me sé tapig I rohan tá. So he Dasún. Iarach sú le háirithe agus Anna Blana amach a Jo lá páitce. Hwyl Mac Liam yn immer nis dyn inis na mar fi enwyr. Bachtig yn nefel o dyn. Correferis gyda Camin de Hall. Cicsair gnohe I gyda Camin. Agus Sehe Padar O'Sullivan, Anna Chontúr chyd Padar gwaelistach. Padar lean y chytwyd, agus Sarhig yma hystig yn synig a darn dy ffit ym wedish. Ieman o'ch ar oen. Lagirach, Bachtig yn Camin de Hall. Jeremy Joe Fia gyda Polo Shankig agus Sehe Paul. Ach, reached road at the Emma Clay.
A lot of chances being wasted by Meath, and it's the low ball into Peter O'Sullivan they should be employing if at all possible. The high ball is not working. The Armagh defence very solid under the high ball.
Agus under the elle attacked the boy, the Ardvacha. Agus Neil McGill in imhe done boy. Yell row. Agus Kieran or Raffertig. Pakahe at the boy.
Niall McLean obviously not satisfying the Armagh selectors from actual play, from free taking. He certainly was getting into the game, but Kieran Rafferty obviously hoping to employ a little bit more mobility, a little bit more forcefulness up there.
Agus Gadain, we cooking the Holini, I'm Shahega Neil McGill in or kicking the Sarah. A bit of Horus Dolan. Anach bohe a yemmer te get her med fie. De stad vir die Trevor Glashne. Ach eerig toe, Sarah he get dagen te fiete met is. Agus kick Tevline en son. Eerig de Pivini again. Sarah he. Ach kick Tevline agus Pivin Henig hoping.
Meath unquestionably creating the space and the opportunities, but not taking them.
He Polo Shankwig, a long Ruhev dent the Svenborg gig a pole, Agus Kicksair and Balkusen. We plod no ta Swallow Ervenegen. Oh, me hat in Eferach, then it's not in Pedro Sullivan, will call Leisha, right? Oh, with Yal Roka, will you hold up, goes to him. Shahe Polo Shankig. Farhe Gadas is Stigen Son, get Pivino Hogoin. Shahe Polo reached. The Trevor Blashne. Big Tevline, the Hunt enemy. Oh, Blashne, the Pedro Sullivan. And Farvi Goste or Yenivin. A Macarish, the Blashne. Macula Wheel, without Macula Wheel, Eredalov. Jefferson video on the day, Macanice, there is a whole fight here, so they get down the feet of it.
Fine save by Darren Whitmarsh, and Meath continue to exert the pressure.
Agus Schnee, Neville O'Dean, Stachajo, Vielavoide. Agus Pedro Sullivan, Nietzsche, Tashi Mihavwig, Puntigo Higgett, the Hood McLean. Agus Schnee, the Hood, Harahag, Gimmer to Dows, Lord.
Great spirit being shown by Meath as they continue to put the pressure on. And Darren Whitmarsh was being tested to the full. Great work by Garrett Bell here. He had a little bit of support. And when the shot came in, Darren Whitmarsh did well.
Agus Erach, Yermada, Emihe, a Shafron. Mashin, Sikulini, Paris Boyd, Egjard Bacha, Marvi, Eglehama. Agus Caru with the flick Emirates Nicken.
Surprisingly enough, despite Armagh's better overall balance, they're still only 3 points in front of me all. Meath have every chance of pulling this one out of the park.
Shahed Dathuna McKean. Lantasach. Agus. A Pussant and Balkusen. Kieran o Raffertig Yal Rochahammer Lantasach Inish. Agus Dathuna McKean Takahimach in a Hatsla. Shahed Trahud McLeam. Anna Erach de Stech en Son. Gedit Kieran o Haftain. Agus Shahed Kieran. Agus Skopige. Oh, she did the hall and get Quivino Hogoin. O Hogoin. Gedit Polmak and Ultic. Bert no true team play. Agus the kick there. No hit again.
Wonderful interception there by Kevin O'Hagan, but it was really presented to him by the Meath player. Meath doing a detour rather than going a little bit more directly to goal.
Hier Skloide, Skolvihil and Lorgan Quivin. Agus Baum ran a first to Shachtiag Wittige. Sinead Mícheál O'Hanrachtig. Sin dianta go maithige. Sár Henson ag bara ó Sheridan. Agus plantamach ag Seamus McTighe. First Hosan Toiri Ardwachan, Binico Emmeline de Bratún. Padar O'Sullivan Dier ag stop. Sin dianta go maithige Padar. Agus fachtan is ag Geród McGillivheel. Drohiarach do Lewis. Agus Shaheb Paul McAnulty. Sean O'Brodick, the front enemy. Machajo, Law Parke. Mac Liamonson, agus Dier Chamin de Hall, a Council. Big Claire, the Chamin. Anna Liam and son, they get Geród McGillivheel. Agus Kalish Dienta at Clewyd.
So just 13 minutes left now, and Meath really, if they just keep taking their points, piles of time, but seem to try to work it in a little bit too close.
Agus Diana Siadiarach and Darna Alidu. G. Coolini Atra, Alahar na Huidi. Acharicht and Council Emihe Shachran. Marsin Fwisha Dardwacha agus Bhainio with Dia Corpa. As yet G. Coolini Finkeen. Tirach Marvidar Igleham. Shahid Trevor O'Glashna Shansiga Trevor. Agus Anna Iarach Trevor O'Glashna agus they shouldn't have Stefan Hole. Art Hole. Pudach Shea Cole. Waiki Sheehy again of it, so.
A wonderful goal by Trevor Giles, which totally pulled Darren Whitmarsh. It was a dangerous lob, a nightmare for the goalkeeper, for all goalkeepers, including Darren Whitmarsh. It looked like it was going to drop, and Darren just fooled, deceived by the flight of it, and landed straight into the corner. Meath and Armagh level. It was a nightmare, really. Look at this, it just lobbed straight in.
Shahid Bara O'Hogain agus so. Question could have been get Camin de Hall. Martin the Fordna at Koharak agus on it.
This was the incident again. Cayman Hall making no effort whatsoever to play the ball, and unquestionably a booking offence, and good decision by the referee.
Agus ono the ele taka here board gig or Vacha Kieran O'Moyle taka here board agus Eamon O'Farroin in the hidden board. Martin Kieran O'Moyle in the Hishtach Sahuine agus Eamon O'Farroin in the hidden board. Eglon Toned agus an fiction Anna order fad. Fakta Gudasiga Jermido Fia. Agus kick there, no he get Jermid.
The spirit that Meath have, it's really unique. They have total belief in themselves, and they have ploughed their way through the Leinster and All-Ireland Championships with this spirit, and many times being outplayed, and yet they're probably playing a far better team, and here they're level with, 10 minutes to go, Micheál.
Chat team play Denomati Falker, the Fordne and Koharak, Agus, Stacker the Rock, Keleshivig, Ruhirosh Kapul. Joseph McTighe agus Iarach Dúd Sárathe. Marsin, kick Pevline, the hunt enemy. Op de steche Joe Emil na Car Noige. Agus kick, zeer kick amach dort wacha. Nohe ige Seamus McGowan. Agus onder die elefos, het tacht de boord. Agus Sinead Mícheál O'Farrile is dolem. Ach Corlais a chor agoni Emlyn de Bratún.
This is the incident here again, a collision. It looks like with his colleague of his. He kept going, but when he landed there, he seemed to pick up an injury in his knee. That's the left corner back, Emmeline Bratton. Just going back to the goal for a second, Micheál, it must be said to Darren Whitmarsh's credit that he possibly was blinded by the sun when it came down, because a lot of players find that a little bit difficult, particularly when they're playing Croke Park, and the sun very much into his eyes.
Agus Sinead and son, Emlyn de Bratton a goni agus lechois. Micheál Parile take head board, remission the Huntenami agus Kieran O'Hartoin Stolum, hit and board, agus Inish, Emlyn de Bratton a fágad na páirce. So máil agus ó rapportig I gimmert I gád vacha. Ní raibh an táil Huntenami and son. Marsin na fórnéid cóharach agus sehéan tanadaí an áit Emlyn de Bratton. Agus Andrew McCanna take a board, Emlyn de Bratton imihe. Marsin siúr anadaithe a board ginis I gád vacha. Agus sinné Emlyn de Bratton an tar a gortíoch cór leis acharid a débhlíine. Sehéan tanadaí Andrew McCanna. Wel tymach yn so, gwedi'n adlo'r pwynt gyda'r palais gyntaf bara o hogoen. Sne bara agos e sy'n te sir, eid agos yr lychyd.
Barry O'Hagan just seemed to, I think, turn awkwardly there as trying to get inside the Meath cover. But if Armagh are going to pull this one out of fire, it'll be people like Barry O'Hagan, Diarmaid Marsden and Des Mackin. And just combining there, in fact he got a belt there on the jaw from Trevor Giles, accidental more than anything else.
Sne bara o chana gael agos ys golim gyma sé ceart galŵr. Cehar dy chwyfin. Agos siohe riw blienige I gimmert le mynwyd o'r bacha. Marsin syrcig, o'r bacha, ond weisiad chincyn. Diarmaid Marsden, Colleen Anahafta.
Diarmaid Marsden puts it over the bar and it puts Armagh back in the driving seat, much to the delight of the huge crowd. And certainly now Armagh with 6 minutes to go.
Agus loch takeíocht a híad chonel agus go hard vacha, leichéile, waistíir de chód na canála.
It was a good free by Diarmaid, hit it splendidly and straight over the bar. Great boost to the confidence now.
Sin am tí páca agus sehe bara ó hógáin I bhí gortí ho chéana bhín. Lena citóig, rahamach, desún ó macín. Rahe desún inis, achta go deasige. Ar anna láidid. Agus anna fax, gyda macadaltig isteach. Agus Colleen.
The best point of the match so far. They're beginning to rejoice in Armagh. This time Des Mackin made that score with a wonderful shoulder off Kenneth Cantwell. Now you don't mix with Des Mackin in Croke Park. And a great play by Paul McNulty. And took his point. Could well win in All-Ireland.
Chat o'r facha o Colleen Cancyn. Chase na wy'n hyd post sgôr o gen I because the game up tonight na gweithio. Ac ni'n o'i ro loaded o'r fad. Agus gan popyn I siachsos le cherin o'n mwy gwylio.
Since Emmeline Bratton got injured, there seems to be a little bit more fire in Armagh's bellies at the moment and showing a little bit more of their true potential.
Chat pwydyn mwr tiag o'r loaded. Agus i'r emihe o Colleen Cancyn. Enwyd I fawin I fwyl dar le cheirys na chlwyd canas han o'n neidio peg y siach. Fi'n bwyd Huntenami an Baltason. Ac sydd o'r facha a hach yn tysig a lohar na hwydig. Townsend yn fawr a hysdig. Emil a fawid yn synig a Seamus McGowan. Mach ydi lof parci. Agus o'r facha. Gawn tochtach Whittaco gyda Paul McAnultig. Ac ni'r chyryd ar y faraseg a Shahid Huntenami. Bara o Shiradain. Lena Kitowig. Agus ar eist, Padar o Sullivan, Paran o Chwntwr. Nacht y stach. Agus Baltasar Roada
Well, I think Peter O'Sullivan will regret that because he had the space in front of him and should have carried on, but decided to go for the point from way out. Possibly just didn't have the legs to keep going, and he was a bit optimistic.
Marsin and Verna Kiana after Agoni. After the Mahage, Bara Ohogoin. The fair kick, Dogbacher. Bara Henig, Open Council. Sino Mati focus of Lohinish. With the snap with Asagavity. Kiran or Aftertick. Rahek Kiran. Shoot team for the Gazette Kurohige. Orhige Dasta Stigish. Joseph McTighe. Padro Sullivan, O'Martin. Akshahep Prahui, McLeam. McLeam or Mahajo, Lord the Podke. Or Twacha, the Zeta of the Mahanish, the Domati, Garnacum. Walker, August Walkolin in the pole. Shahib Bara O'Hogain. Winter Ogadas. Pachtige Kamin de Hall. McLean Hyde Beer Hawk the finish. August in it did it. It's rhythm Lake Count Scribe. Kamin de Hall. Yergi Hudbidi. Padro Sullivan. Shahib Padar. Yana Shani Star about the sun. Matlish Gadas. That's Marcoshev O'Martin the Padar the Folin. Lena Ketoga. Oh.
Well, that was another wasted opportunity by the Meath captain because he had players available to his right as such and decided to go it alone. And there's one Meath player in vision totally unmarked. A bad miss really for Meath.
Agus Neil and the Ronoidi, Rohostalishin. Council and Mahak Harish of Devlin, because Dishella the Hunt enemy. Can the up control? Sorry, Higadat to get Pivino Hogoin, and they have wig. Shahit Yamano Martin. Makadi Pivin. Ohogoin and Makajo Lord the Poetke. And Long Poli Takama. And they have wig. Like a Shahid, Datuno Makin. Sulana Girach now they did Shano Brodick. Olo Shankig, Ederig Ligan of Mach, Kalistian to Pole. Trevor O'Glashnik is the Butcher Trevor and Baltason. Again, Bara Ohogoin. Bara O'Shiradoin. Judy Hill at Hunter Aminish. Yet the Derek Guller in on sea. Sarah Ishtiganson. Andrew McCanna. Machtagadas, Jeremy McAverston. And a lot in a fat. Police get the Yemit. I got count on a hawk of a fat. Dot Baha, Martha Dynamity for hit Emma Mehet.
That's good play by David Marsden because when the break came, the best thing now is to hold on to possession and run and run and run. And Meath having to foul. And under pressure when you've just about, well, we've reached full time by our stopwatch and trailing by 2 points.
Kanain Dow, Wachali or Wachanish, and I have the map. I said, Ocholin Kinkin. I was baited a Sule, Eden Padna Krayev, Nedic Dahadonai, and in the Menuid, Bokahana. I was an issue, Nedic Nohado. I said, Ocholin Kinkin, and Puntanami. Bara Ohogoin, Joe Emil Carnoige. Sarah Higadas, agus Blantamach, Gudin Besta on board. Baited in Disturb the Hadish, the Hunt enemy. Wachta Gadasan Sun, the Yemen O'Martin, a Staffkadi, Miholo Handachtik, the Barrow Hogoin, Koimak Yasso, Wahali Ardbacha. Ohogoin, Adwola, Gadi Miholo Handachtik. Sarah Higadas. Agus nómat le push dynamite fi hit Emma Mehet, Trevor O'Glash in Lena Oran, a Harish Demi Hamu, Bachtige, Yemen O'Martin, and Winter O'Higan, Unadine, Agus the fair kick no here and son again on the Hollow Parry. Trevor O'Flashton, Big Dawid. O'Flashton, a draw, the Shahe shot the goal. Oh, the goal and son. And it's not Contenami, me Hollow Parry, and Meath and Keane.
What spirit in the county of Meath. Michael Farrelly, the scorer. And I must say, I thought some Meath players, their heads were down, but tremendous determination. Will win the All-Ireland minor football title for Meath, possibly. Can Armagh respond? The ball coming into Farrelly, the Armagh back slipped and he banged it home.
Well, Shref split the meanish, agus there's no big art bacha clean over the chance of the Hahad Ruhach, Neil Dedlish go hit the post, Shahid Rahul McLean. And a wall and son of a Shemus McGowan. McGowan, the hunt enemy. Rahul McLean will lame it, it is a well dog bacha. Yerach suit Sarahe, agus third kick, dog bacha. Agus an issue, one on with Diego, they hit Willie Immeramihe. Rahul McLean. German McAbushkin. Oh, Pato, the Mehan Guanamo. On Multoy, if you can't do it, actually, that's what the post the quarter. Para Ohogoin, Margaret will all flow him again. Or Rafferty, I guess, chat, kick, cool weather, I guess, count, fear Hoster.
An incredible finish to this minor All-Ireland. It promised to be a thriller, but they spared it all for the last 4 minutes. We have now got 33 minutes and 17 seconds played in the second half, and I think Seamus Pryor is telling the Armagh man that he has to score direct. If Armagh are going to at least draw this match, he has to drop it in over the crossbar.
Agus decad gama, mar hashi shoot, nis Congri on Glihon, and night na Grihe team play, hug vedres vehe, is Stefan Davlin and so.
Remember, Michal, he's playing against the breeze. A 45 against the breeze for Armagh to level the match in injury time.
Bara Ohogoin, Colleen Hoin, I'm sure he could again. Kick his talk the or hook shall we have on the hill. Will to stack again. After Bishi, Father Dohan, touching his father, will she father, Todd Jarrett left on enemy.
Devastation for Armagh. An incredible performance by Meath, because they were outplayed by a better balanced outfit, but tremendous spirit, tremendous determination. And this Meath team, because I saw them right throughout the Leinster Championship, they have improved with every match. And Derry Hunt there played his part, as did Michael Farrelly, because at times it looked as if Armagh were strolling. But Meath, they're a credit to their county, and they're an example for everybody else.
Agus Dimon down it's a winter art wacha can have not bech. Yalrig grab a close of Wichita, a skip enemy will heli art split, a joy get in the hammer, a snake captain, Cadro Sullivan, Lee, a Yanavanese that came in and so I get, but in Corona Blocker. Enemy, you said, Aravello Boyd. Agus Schnee Barra Ohogoin, Tar, a hook, will you free get for a yimid out the fat. Dort wacha ach harve di mo agus hechadig blane. A gaun puhu e ge bohali art wacha. Na die jaulre greb bo glor voor ko skibbo khlo hebo agus shahe Cadro Sullivan kaptein enemy agus a enemy weg de tinte knaven nog.
Agus a card de gael. Queen sheer tourist wall on go for Europe le deri fein diddle on sports.
Ashley, I am not so the Cayman and so again. Walk me, Agashahe, and Terlo, here with the Oklahoma.
Amani Agus Pell. Kega will she diamond list the Kienta, Ta Iris on Massa, Egwint in the hair and there, go lan and lan fubble Gaelakid, got there a shoptana. Ta and Cartica, Agus Inov, Ta and Tier Galair, Quidden for Ryan, on down Borags of Ahir. E cur ansim sa fel. Agus ná gwanta gur fad an cléthe a chunig siad in jov. Has spántas bra sportúil a bhí agus wúpan na himróí misnúil agus macánta amach is amach. De bhí an miá darag le lénta daraga gur chuig an cúil sin isteach. Bhí an tá le cuireann na míad, agus dimmer siad go huantach is nómatí deirg. Is trúa nach raibh na fáin lóga linn inniu, neidir bhfuil siad imethe san dír ar fad, nó béidir go rálaigh a hippartha teacht ar hicéadaí inniu. Ó súla bháin.
Cáirte go léir. Costas agus bro dumsa an corn. Seo a thógáil ar son foraíonn muinneoir na Meath. I'd just like to thank Armagh for a great sporting game. It was close all the way and someone had to win. I'm sure they're as disappointed as we are delighted. I know they put in a lot of work, because when we played them in the Ulster League, we bet them, they bet us by a point, and we both put in work, but gladly our fighting spirit won it in the end. There's just a few people I'd like to thank. First of all, the selectors, especially Benny Gartland. Secondly, I'd like to thank the most important man of all, who put the self-belief in the team, Christy Moore. I'd like to thank the lads for putting in so much effort all through the year and putting so much dedication in. Lads, it paid off in the end. And finally, Armagh, 3 cheers. Hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Thanks.
And that's something I can tell you has put a smile on the face of my panellist here with me this afternoon, Colin O'Rourke. Colin, what a tremendous fight back that was, and one that we didn't really suspect was going to happen even halfway through that second half.
No, in fairness, Armagh seemed to be the better team, but Meath hung in there when things were going badly for them. And after they got the first goal, they looked like a great chance, having a great chance, and Armagh fought back and got a couple of points, but then Meath kept the pressure on.
That first goal by Giles, a player that you were very familiar with, was so critical. I believe he genuinely went for that goal.
I think that, you know, from that distance, we give Trevor the benefit of the doubt in that he went to chip the goalie. I thought at the time he went for a point, but it was the goal that got Meath right back into the game when they were very much struggling. But football is cruel, and I think Armagh found that to their cost today. They at least deserved a draw out of that match, and one can't but feel sorry for them, if I am a Meath man, and delighted to see my own team winning.
Sure. Oh, well, I think that's acceptable under the circumstances, Colin. Pat, Meath did an awful lot of donkey work in midfield towards the end of that game, and it eventually brought the break that brought that second goal for them. That was the match winner.
They did indeed. I mean, Meath were outplayed in nearly all departments, but one thing you got to hand Meath for, they had great spirit. They never gave up. They're a great lesson to any team to keep fighting to the bitter end. And I think what won it for them was their performance of their backs in particular, who stuck in. There was some great blocking down today, a skill which we don't see that often in football.